I stalled for a solid second, and then I was like, I think she forgot.
I did forget.
Hi guys, welcome to Tattoo Homewreckers. This is a podcast where we talk about tattoos, life, and everything in between.
And today we're actually talking about tattoos.
Absolutely, we're actually doing it, so we're both really excited and also nervous for some reason.
I also just realized that one of the last episodes we left off on was about ADHD, and we said we would talk more about that. And in classic ADHD form, we have changed topics.
Can we talk about how many times we've probably done that? We've probably done it a lot. I'm putting my phone on silent because it just runs.
So,
sorry, my bad.
That
guys.
being said, if there are topics that we've said we were going to discuss and you guys want us to discuss, please let me know, and we'll go ahead and discuss those.
Yes, absolutely.
And on that note, I really do have to adjust these lights. So you tell us
sure.
what your
my gender feels like today. My gender today, it's kind of hard because I've had one of those days where I don't really feel like a human being in a good way. You guys have had those days in like a bad way. You don't feel like a human being. In a good way, I don't feel like a human being. I kind of just feel like my gender today feels like a bacteria. Like I'm a little just germy wormy in a what are they called?
Petri dish?
Yeah, I'm a germy wormy in a petri dish. That's my gender today.
That's a good gender.
Yeah, what's yours feel like today?
Well, I feel a little bit better now that those lights aren't as bright on me.
Nice.
Because I am struggling with being overstimulated.
Your ADHD lately, can I say this on the podcast?
Absolutely.
Has been really bad. It's been a lot, mostly because this one has a lot on her to-do list. You've been doing a lot for the shop. You've been doing a lot for yourself, and you're doing a lot for the house. So, can I tell the story really fast?
Absolutely.
We were tattooing our friend, and I just went to grab my drink, and I was just, drinking my little bevy, and I was looking out the window, and I was like, oh my God, is that a package of wipes out of your car? Like, it was literally just hanging outside of her car by her trunk. And we've been like going for like an hour or something. And I was like, do you want me to bring that in?
I have been inside the business for like 2 hours. And
and it's just been sitting out there.
An Amazon like box just like sitting by my car.
By your car, just for you to grab,
Yeah, because I put it down, carried a bunch of stuff in, and was like, I'll go grab that again. And then I didn't. Which is also, I think, where that whole, like, one trip or die mentality comes from.
Because you will forget.
Is because, if it's not directly in front of me, I'm going to forget. And so right now, because my ADHD and because my stress level is really high, that means that, like, a lot of things that are already overstimulating to me, which is, like, bright lights and such, and noises. So,
sounds.
like, the fucking dog's nails hitting our laminate floor is driving me nuts.
I found out today that this one does not like the sounds of leaves.
Dude, what the
flying
fuck?
and hitting the pavement.
Yeah, like, she doesn't like the sound of wind, right?
Yes,
so, like, that sound of, like, howling wind is very, like, visceral to her, which is a little bit, can I tell this? A little bit cute because the dogs obviously don't like it either. So all of them will crowd together and be like, the world is trying to kill us.
Yeah, we're all scared on the couch together.
Yeah, and the sound of leaves on, like, concrete, like it's just, like, one singular fucking leaf, seriously sounds to me, if you have had, like, a really loud garbage disposal, that's what it sounds like, where it's just there, it's just outside, and I get it, this leaf is just living his best little leafy life. He's just
dead
exploring.
now.
No, this is his afterlife journey.
Okay.
But to me, it sounds like, and turn this down if it bothers you, is what it fucking sounds like. Yes. Genuinely the worst. That is what I hear when that singular leaf is going down our street. So when Caboose makes fun of me for, like, cleaning up our street, like, I go out and we'll clean up the leaves and the dirt and stuff.
When we pay HOA, it really should just go to her because, like, that's all you trimming the trees to make sure when we walk we can actually.
Yeah, you have to trim the trees because they planted trees directly next to the sidewalks. And everyone in the neighborhood walks all the time, and you watch them, like, walk and, like, have to, like, lower their heads to go underneath. And to be fair, I don't do the entire neighborhood. I just do the, like, surrounding, like, I think it's 2 streets down on both sides of us. So I do, like, 5 streets. So, yeah,
Thank
you have
for
to.
your service. Thank you.
Same as like the rocks. I have to like sweep because we live in an area where it snows and they pile all the snow on the edge of the corners of the sidewalks during like, snow season. So then there's all these like rocks and gravel, and I walk around barefoot a lot and I don't like the way it feels, and neither do the dogs. So I have to go out there and sweep it up.
You're going to fit right in New Zealand. Sorry, that was our long-winded way of saying, yes, we're stressed.
Yes,
what does your
ADHD
gender feel like?
Is bad. My gender feels like the epitome of ADHD. So I have basically, I am a box. I'm a clear box full of, I would say, 13, because it's annoying that it's not an even number, bouncy balls. Oh. And they don't lose like centrifugal force. Like they are just going. And so whatever hits like the front screen that you can see is the thought that's coming to mind first.
That sounds like hell. I'm so sorry.
Which is going to be great because now we're reporting technically we're going to record a couple podcasts so we can get ahead because we're going to a convention.
We soon. Are in 3 days?
Yes.
4? 3?
3 days.
It doesn't feel real. Where your brain feels like a glass box with 13 annoying bouncing balls, like just constantly going. I really do feel like I'm in the back seat of my own car right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really experiencing things, I don't know what that is. Anyways.
I definitely am not present in any moment. So this will be one of those that like someone will tell me later that I made a leaf noise on a podcast and I'll be like, wait, what?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Totally. Today we wanted to talk about tattoos. That's what we were supposed to talk about. We're finally talking about tattoos. Holy cow, it's been a minute since we've been able to come up with an actual like tattoo related podcast. So with that being said, what about tattoos are we going to talk about?
So we are going to talk about how to create, if you've made it this far, awesome, great. You're in for a fun ride. We are talking about how to create a safe tattoo studio. I'm just going to give a really short-winded reason why this came up. Lately, there have been some posts online talking about tattoo artists as like, I guess like predatory behavior. And then there was like a response from a lot of artists. And then I realized like through us having lots of discussions about like what makes our studio and what makes a safe environment, not just from like predatory behavior in the sense of like sexual assault, or like, harassment, anything like that.
Yeah.
But we wanted to talk specifically, and I wanted to go into like specifics that might end up being a two-parter when it comes to creating an overall safe space. Because like if you have been to our shop or have, I don't know, listened to more than just this episode, you know that us creating a safe environment for us as artists and us as queer people and neurodivergent people was a huge part of like our tattoo studio.
Well,
and
the reason
ethos.
why, the reason why we even separated and started our own business.
Yeah,
it's a huge topic. There's so many angles that I could attack this on,
which we're gonna try to cover as many as we can.
Yeah,
we are hopefully gonna get a couple other tattoo artists on here as well to hear from other artists in the industry.
Yeah, so if you're interested in being on the podcast, hey, reach out. Let us know. Sorry, scheduling has been crazy. I actually have a couple people I've been meaning to reach out to actually schedule something. But we've got a convention. We've got a lot of stuff going on in the shop. But seriously, we would love to have you on. So with that being said, I wanted to specifically just get this out of the way really quick. A safe space for people is going to look different for everyone. So before you want to create a safe space for clients, I think that you really do need to sit down and ask yourself, who are you creating a safe space for? Because you could create a safe space for Trump supporters, which our studio definitely is not a safe space for. We are not going to agree with you on that one. Or you could create a safe space for introverts. You could create a safe space for people who get overly, excited. And you can create a safe space for extroverts. There's so many different ways that you can approach this. But the only way you really create a safe space is if it is actually authentic to what you believe in and who you want to spend your time around. So I just wanted to get that out of the blue.
Well, I think that is
out of the clear.
Yeah, I think that's the most important step. And I think a lot of people are missing that when it comes to saying, oh, we're a safe space. It's like, for whom?
Yeah.
Because like we're a safe space for people that are in our community. But if you are like you are very, is it right wing?
Yeah, right wing conservative.
If you are very, that's even a better point. If you're very conservative, I am more than likely not going to be your cup of tea with my shaved head and my very liberal beliefs.
Yeah.
I am not going to be your person, which means I am not a safe space for you. And our studio is not a safe space for you. And if you're like, this is, if that's why you say it all the time, where there's shops for everyone. So if you're like, hey, I want the street shop, I want like the loud heavy metal music, and I want the like,
I want to party.
I want to party. I want to do drugs, or I want to get drunk before I do my tattoos, or I want to drink with my tattoo artist. Then like we are not a safe space. So I think that like, yes, that whole like being authentic to who you are is
a key element to creating a safe space.
It's not going to stay like that.
So yeah, and that's the thing is like obviously we have a very we've already kind of built a safe space that's meant for our people. And by like our people, I mean like we are very queer friendly. We're obviously not judgmental. If you're straight, that's totally fine. You can, please come in the studio. I actually have had a question before, like, do you guys tattoo men? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. We totally do. But when it comes to our beliefs, like we've been very open and honest about what we believe in. And that is like trans rights are human rights. That we believe in a environment where you know that your tattoo artist is going to be sober.
Yes.
We believe.
And you know that whatever you say in that place, and I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that a safe space for me means that whatever it is you're saying, though I might not agree with you, it is a place where you are allowed to say it. So we are allowed to disagree.
Yeah.
And we are allowed to, it is a place where, for me specifically, where we are allowed to talk. And there is no topic that is off subject. No subject that is off topic.
Or
that's
out of bounds, off limits.
Yeah, like I want to make sure that like whatever it is you want to talk about, that we can talk about.
Yeah, tell us about it. And with that being said, when I say like we're not a safe space for like conservatives, you're not going to get attacked or like judged for being conservative, but you will be met with a very polite disagreement on, again, I believe trans rights are human rights. And if you disagree on that, then the chances of me tattooing you again are probably slim to none, because I can't offer, I have every right to not offer services that I don't want to.
Yes.
So now that that's out of the way, how are you going to initially create a safe space? I want to get into the technicalities of it. Because tattoos are a very intimate procedure. So how do you create a safe space for someone who wants to get tattooed? Just out of technicality wise. Again, we're very vocal on, we are a very pro-feminist shop. And I think it'd be incredibly hypocritical of us if we didn't believe in body autonomy when it also included tattoos. That's huge. Self-expression is huge. Body autonomy, I can't speak. Sorry, guys. I'm out of it. Is also huge, and you should be able to choose what goes on your body. Yes, we are working together. Yes, this is a group project. And yes, it is my job as a professional to make you aware of certain design aspects that might not age well, that honestly, in the grand scheme of things, will create problems down the line if you do decide to do a sleeve, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, it is your body, your choice always. So how do you say we create a safe space for people?
I think, okay, I'm going to use some like examples of artists that I have worked with in the past. I won't state names. And if you're a tattoo artist and you feel like triggered by anything I'm saying, then I think you should probably sit with why. My personal philosophy on that is that we are here to guide you through the experience. We are not here to tell you what to do. And as someone who also has tattoos that this has happened to, it's recognizing that power dynamic. And like, if you've been in our shop, if you've talked to me and you, we both talk very frequently about that power dynamic between a tattoo artist and a client. And if you are an artist and you sit in a place of like, there isn't a power dynamic, you should probably address that. That's essentially the same as being like, racism doesn't exist because I'm not a racist.
Well, there's a huge power dynamic. I mean, think of it in doctor terms.
Exactly. That's the exact reference I was going to use.
Period.
That when you go to a doctor, there is a power dynamic there because you do not have the knowledge base that they have. And there is this inherent idea of trusting them And that is the biggest thing I hear when it comes to people who come in that were not satisfied with a tattoo. And I'm not talking about poorly done tattoos either. I'm talking about tattoos where the person was coerced into getting a much larger design than they initially wanted. Mm-hmm. And there's this air of, you should be so lucky to get one of my pieces. You should be so lucky that I am going to grace you with my amazing art. And I don't give a fuck if the tattoo's great or not. If your client is not equally as stoked and you are giving them ample opportunity to say, no, I want to change this. No, I didn't necessarily picture it that way. And I think that there is a certain amount of like sitting in your own discomfort of like, I get excited about tattoos as well that I've drawn. Mm-hmm. And you can see it on someone's face, and it's removing your ego enough that you can see to look at your client to be like, whoa, we don't look excited about this. Or like there was a slight hesitation in what you were saying. Mm-hmm. And sitting with that to then break down, like, what are we missing here? Mm-hmm. Do we not want to go that large? Is this not exactly what we pictured? And removing yourself from it. And I think that that's like one of the biggest issues is that as a client, because then we also blame the client. So when someone gets something and they're like, but it's great, because I heard that shit about my first back piece. Mm-hmm. Of like, but it's awesome. And I'm like, but I don't like it. It's not what I asked for. Mm-hmm. And then now my back piece, which was done by a friend that I had at the time, was the same situation where I was just like, whatever, I've had a back piece. I've got it all like removed. Well, I had 2 back pieces, got them both removed. And then just, do the best you can. Then I was like, I ideally like for my lady to be standing on a beach because she's standing on a beach in the actual original painting. And he was like, no, that's not going to work. We'll put her on a balcony. It'll be better. And I felt like I was not in a place where I could say no. And this is as a tattoo artist. This is how big that power dynamic really is, which is why I use my own example. Because even though that artist is a great artist, really nice person, I loved him to bits. That was not, like, I was not 100% on it, but I didn't know how to say no. And this in particular happens to like women or people that were raised as women. We were raised to be people pleasers. So we don't even know till afterwards that we're like, fuck.
Yeah, until you're too far in. Mm-hmm. And this happens with tattoos a lot where initially you don't like it and it grows to be a part of you. So you're kind of forced to like it. Mm-hmm. And I really am big on making sure that my people feel more connected to their body after they get tattooed by me than disconnected. Yeah. The disconnect is something that happens that we both can prevent. Now, with that being said, it is really important to learn how to advocate for yourself, mm-hmm. but it's also equally important for your artist to give you a platform and give you room to speak on whether or not you want to change anything, if you have any concerns, et cetera, et cetera. I keep telling my people, like, here's the thing. When it comes to redesigning stuff, I have made my peace with it. It's just part of the gig. It really mm-hmm. is. Or at least for me, it's part of the gig. There are world-renowned artists that don't make any changes. Okay. I mean, hopefully their clients go to them knowing that,
which with the amount of clients that I have spoke to over the years that have pieces that we would look at and be like, wow, that's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And then you talk to them and they're like, yeah, it's not really what I pictured. Mm-hmm. I know it's great, but it's just like not, I mean, I didn't necessarily like sign up for something to be like this exactly. And the amount of times that happens leads me to believe that it's a little bit like that case of like that whole not all men, like very few men are, predatory when you're like, I don't know, most women have been like harassed or assaulted. So it really has to be a higher number than we think.
A big majority. Yeah.
Yes. And so I think that that's for me has been like a big awakening in this, like talking about the power dynamics that happens and the bulldozing over your clients that happens, mm-hmm. because there has become this idea that we as tattoo artists are artists above anything else, and forgetting the fact that we are doing a service for people. Mm-hmm. And like, I love how like you put it and where it's like, this is a group project.
Oh yeah.
So absolutely advocate for yourself. Mm-hmm. But when there is a power imbalance, it is on the person who is in power to always continually make sure that the person who is, has less power in that. The power dynamic is not the same to actually be able to advocate for themselves.
Yeah. And I think that's a great way of putting it, where like somewhere along the way, we've lost the like kind of customer service and connection and humanity of it all. And with that being said, if you're the kind of artist that, you know, doesn't want to pursue connection, then it's kind of hard for you to create a safe space for people at that point, you know? And at the end of the day, that's all we have, is connecting with people. And that's how you market your art. And if you start out the gate with like not caring about your clients, unfortunately, like that story will live on forever. They're going to tell their friends, they're going to tell their family that they didn't feel seen or heard. And that unfortunately that tattoo isn't exactly what they wanted. And I don't know, it's hard to watch. It's even harder to see people want to create safe spaces and also not know where to start.
Yes.
And I get it. It is a really fine line of balancing the kind of tattoos that you want to make every day versus what people are requesting. To which at that point, like, if you have stuff that you want to sell, honestly, sell it as an original. Hope that someone's going to bite it. I get it. You know, for the longest time, I've been wanting to do like color surrealistic work. And that's just not something that is really in the market. There's not really a huge demand for it. And it's like the only thing that like I'd be like so stoked to tattoo every day. But again, I'm just honestly in a place where like that is just not the popular style. And
in the area that we're at right now.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you know, when people come to me for original work, or sorry, not original work, but for a request and like a custom piece, I have to follow the prompt, because what I want at that point, if I can tell that you're unhappy with it, like it'll keep me up at night knowing that like you're not happy with it, and that like I further made you disconnected to your body. So that's, I don't know.
And I think that it's important to ask yourself, like as a tattoo artist, why you are in this industry. Because if you are like, hey, I am a tattoo artist because it's cool, maybe it's not the correct place for you to be. Yeah. If it comes down to like, I only want to produce my own artwork, absolutely. Once again, make sure that's hella clear. And make sure that that's what you're advertising.
Yeah.
Because like we've been discussing this a lot, where it comes down to the authenticity of what is being represented online versus, because that is technically like our advertisement is what's being put on social media. So making sure that what's on social media is a direct representation of who you are as a person. And if you are not publicizing the fact that you are only doing things your way, that's it. No ifs, ands, and buts. Like you only want to do large scale pieces. You only want to do color. And then when someone comes to you, your idea of like staying in value, like true value with yourself, is to bulldoze somebody or coerce them into that or pressure them into getting what it is you want to be doing. That needs to be on the front end. Like during the consultation, hey, I don't make any sort of adjustments. There are no, like, once I've drawn it, that's it. Because I think that for me is like, I know this sounds like I'm shitting on tattoo artists, but I'm really just shitting on like a select type of tattoo artist.
Well, the kind that like finds the need to coerce people.
Yes.
The kind that like, you know, we've heard stories before. We have clients in the chair that tell us that like, you know, they cried after getting their tattoo because they were coerced into getting it. And that's so heartbreaking. And I never want any of my clients to feel that way. But again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to do specific style. Like if a client comes in and is like, I want a hyper realistic rose, there's nothing stopping me from going, gosh, I would love to do that for you. Right now, I'm focusing on neo-traditional roses. Is there any way that you would want a neo-traditional rose? If so, that's great. Maybe we can work on that together. But if you're dead set on a hyper-realistic rose, this is where I give my client a platform to advocate for themselves. Totally fine. I'm not offended at all.
Yep.
Here are some great referrals. I'm so sorry you had to come in and like we had to, you know, talk about this and I had to essentially tell you no. But that's where it's like, okay, you have your own solid boundary as an artist, and you also gave that person a platform to be like, okay, great. No, I have been wanting something neo-traditional. Maybe we can do that somewhere else, and then I can get this hyper-realistic rose from that artist you told me to go to. Yep. Or them to be like, no, yeah, I'm actually really, you know, I really want this instead. Neo-traditional just isn't my style. That's where you go, absolutely. I totally understand that. You deserve to be happy with what you're getting tattooed. You deserve a hyper-realistic rose. I just, unfortunately, am not the person to give it to you. Again, if you are very dead set on a style, have that be on the front end. Advertise that.
I think that's the thing, is that like that should be what's out there and not this like, I think my biggest issue is oftentimes that like steadfastness of like, no, this is the design that I drew. This is what you're getting. And that like pressuring them into, this is a better deal. This is a better design, without being able to adequately explain like your reasoning behind it, happens after you've already taken their deposit, or happens on the day of their tattoo. And at that point, so many people feel like they cannot say no. Like myself included. Like my buddy drew this whole thing up, and also what he was saying, like what it would look like and what it looked like in the end, two vastly different things. And so it comes down to being very clear on the front end, which I think is one of the key points of like creating a safe space, is being clear on who you are, what your values are. So that way the people that you like that are going to be attracted to you tend to have those same values, and also making sure that you are clear on the entire process of it. So it's, hey, like, you know, we're really clear on if you need to do a design change. Like I am 100% like, I will give you a million options. And I state that during the consultation.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know that like you're going to come in and there's going to be lots of options. I personally speaking do not like lots of options, like for myself. So if you too don't want lots of options and you just want me to pick one, cool, I can do that with you. But it's being very clear on how you operate. So that way it gives people ample time and space to back the fuck out. Because I've also worked at studios where I have been punished for doing consultations and not getting appointments booked, which is partly why we opened our own studio. Because if I do a consultation and then I'm like, I'm not the correct person for you, or in my case, because I do a lot of cover-ups, what you want cannot be done by me specifically. I would advise laser removal in this instance, so that way we're not compromising on what your original vision is.
Yep.
I don't have a boss now to be like, oh shit, well, why didn't you did a consultation, you didn't get a money from them, you didn't get a deposit, what's going on there? Or I've worked at studios where I have had to upsell, because that is part of the dynamic of the studio, is like upsell. And I never was like down with that. So that was something that was brought up frequently of like, hey, that's not okay behavior. You need to be like selling them on something larger, which has then, for me as an artist, I'll speak to other tattoo artists here. I don't know about you, like listening, or like if you feel the same way. Anytime I'm like, oh, have you thought about if you want to do a sleeve eventually? And it's for me future planning. So that way I know that I don't trap someone into a design and then I'm like, fuck, if I knew it was going to be a sleeve, I would have designed this differently. Kind of like the difference of like, if I'm going to build a 1-bedroom house versus if I know that you eventually want a 5-bedroom house, the design is going to be different.
Totally.
But when I do have clients that I talk to and then they're like, oh, fuck yeah, I want to get a sleeve anyway, let's pull the trigger. Part of me always worries about like, do they think I'm upselling? Am I upselling them? Because I know that internally I'm not, but it is that like, please don't think that I'm trying to upsell this to you to like get you to do a whole sleeve with me. It's just, we want to keep that in mind for future. And I think that it's once again being honest about that like I tell my clients, like I'm not trying to upsell you.
Yeah.
Like, and I genuinely mean it. And I think because they are able to see who we are through our social media and through like the website and like get the overall vibe that is not who we're trying to be.
Yeah.
They know that that's genuine.
Absolutely. Yeah. Our biggest thing is really promoting the humanity and the connection that tattoos are able to give us and give you guys. Now that we got the technical side out of the way of what makes a safe space, I just also wanted to kind of like circle back, being safe to a specific audience. When you say that you're a safe space, I need you to also be about it. And by be about it, I mean, I shouldn't say that you need evidence to back up that you're a safe space. I just need to know exactly like what makes you safe. Tell us about yourself. Like, are you doing everything in your power to make your clients feel safe? If you don't know how to make them feel safe, ask them. Oh my gosh, it is just it's beautiful. Just asking online, just a quick quick ask me a question, quick just answer, like let us know what we can do. It's really interesting seeing it all pop up. And
well, and I think it's also about inviting that and then sitting with it.
Yeah.
and sitting with the like, hey, if I did that, like one of the things I have to start doing now. Sorry, I didn't mean to like interrupt you.
No, you did not.
To just provide like a small example is that like I, as one of my clients once put it about herself that also resonated with me, is that I suffer from greetings and salutations. So I try to put it like on the front end, and even now it's going into consultations that I am ADHD autism. So I need my clients to know that. And I also put it on my social media fairly frequently, where it's like, if I don't greet you, it's not that I am trying to be rude. It's that I genuinely struggle with like greetings and salutations. I am not good at that. And so the same way that like I will tell a client during a consultation, I don't talk during line work. I lay that out so that way it's not that awkward moment of what happens when you are getting your haircut and the like stylist and you are both looking in the mirror and they're not talking and you're like, am I supposed to talk? Are they supposed to talk? Who the fuck is supposed to talk here? So I get very like weird in like saying hello to people. I would prefer if we all just started in the middle of a conversation. That's how my brain works.
I'm the opposite. I need to say hi.
Yes.
I cannot work that way.
Once again, I'm very fortunate because if somebody walks in the door and if I'm not expecting clients, which is also why I work by appointment, I get really freaked out. So when people just drop in, she is great and can greet them and I will genuinely freeze and not know how to say anything. And if I do, it oftentimes sounds incredibly rude. Same as the way that like if someone is early, I will typically greet them with, you're early.
Just stating a fact.
I'm stating a fact. I'm putting the fucking thing that has made me feel very weird inside.
On the outside.
On the outside. I'm putting it on the outside. So in my brain, the rest of that dialogue is you're early, so I don't have to talk to you until your appointment that is in 7 minutes because I don't know how to operate for the next 7 minutes because I had it all planned out and now you're here and I don't know what to do with it. But it's being authentic to yourself, which means I think for a lot of people, sitting with like who the fuck you are and then also getting the confidence to tell your clients who you are, because then you're not scaring them. So my clients know, like it's quite funny because a lot of our clients do come in early and a lot of our repeat clients will come in a little bit early and then be like, I'm so sorry I'm early. And the moment they say that to me, I'm like, okay, you have broached the fucking elephant in the room.
Yeah, you didn't have to say it.
Yeah, I didn't have to say it. You know you're early. Cool. I will be with you at the time of your appointment because I plan everything out minute by minute. So I know exactly what I'm doing for the next several minutes. And then it's not awkward. But I think it is about being honest, with yourself of who the fuck you are. Like I'm always going to be the late person. And I'm also going to probably suffer with greetings and salutations my whole life because I've tried working on it my whole life and I have not made any progress.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's okay. And that's totally fine. That's the thing too, is like when we create a safe space for our clients, we also create a safe space for ourselves. In the sense that like now we are also advocating for ourselves. And we're also like, I was really proud of myself the other day because like, I booked someone who like could only come in on Saturdays, genuinely on the earliest Saturday that I had, which was pretty far out. And I was proud of myself because there was a bunch of Saturdays that I'm like, ooh, maybe I could squeeze them in. But like, I knew that it was not going to be conducive to the person who was getting tattooed before them. Like it wasn't going to be a good session for that person before them because I'd be stressing out about getting done in time. And I'm at a point in my career where, and I'm honest with my clients about this too, I don't want to rush any single tattoo that I do. I'm done with that. I am not trying to rush. I'm really trying to hone my skills and really zone in on all the art that I create now. And even if that means I'm making less money, whatever, I am putting out the quality of work that I want to do and the quality that I know my clients deserve.
Yeah.
So genuinely, I think a lot of people are afraid like, oh, well, I don't want to be taken advantage of if I give room for my clients to speak. If you give room for your clients to speak, it's a great exercise in giving yourself room as well. That energy is very much returned. It's really cool to watch. A lot of our clients have been like so kind about everything.
Yeah.
Especially with like any kind of reschedules, like, you know, one of our dogs is sick and every single one of them has just been like, just star clients.
Yeah. And everyone has been so kind about the fact of like, we have lives. Mm-hmm. We're going to live them. They're going to happen. I messed up a weekend where I thought I was in town that weekend and I wasn't in town that weekend. And I had to reschedule with some people, or like we have a trip coming up that I didn't necessarily, you were going on that trip. And then I had an opportunity to go on said trip. Mm-hmm. And I've had clients that are flying in from out of state. And I was like, hey, is there any way that you haven't booked your ticket yet? And then because we were able to communicate, because I was like, hey, I have an opportunity to do this. And my client was like, fuck, dude, just cancel on me. Cause like, I would rather you do that. And then it worked out that I was like, can you just come in extra early this day when you do fly in? And then I'm still able to do the tattoo with the client and go on a trip. And I think it's about being genuinely honest with yourself, but also with your people. Yeah. Whereas like, once again, I worked at studios where we've had like front desk represent like us and talking to the like clients about it now, where we are all able to speak freely because there's no like monitoring of what we're saying. Well, besides you monitor what I say. What? Always. Yeah. Always. Constantly.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to say anything.
Sure.
But it's interesting seeing that dynamic difference of like being honest about like, hey, I would like to reschedule because I got an opportunity to go on this trip and I'd like to do it. And the realness of like my client then being like, oh, hell yeah. Whereas talking to them about like, I don't know what happened in the past. Like we didn't have clients that were this understanding, and them directly being like, well, that's because they would just not contact us back, or we didn't know the reason why. And it's the same reason, like I'm really big on like, if a client wakes up that day and they're like, dude, I just don't want to get tattooed, just text me that. That's a valid fucking reason to not get tattooed. If you're not in the correct headspace and you tell me like, I cannot sit for a tattoo today, that is so incredibly valid to me.
Totally.
Because it's recognizing the humanity that is in all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I got no call, no show 3 times in a row.
That was so
one
ridiculous.
day. And by the 3rd time, I was like, okay, I do have to make a story about this. And it was just really quick. And I just told everyone, listen, that's so fine. If you woke up today and you don't feel like getting out of bed, totally understandable. Mm-hmm. If you don't want the tattoo anymore, totally understandable. If you found a different artist that you want to get tattooed by, so understandable. I don't care. That is fine. I genuinely promise you that like, if you tell me any of those things, I'm not going to be offended. I'm not going to wonder, oh my God, why are you canceling so soon to your appointment? I'm just going to be like, okay, works for me. Thank you for no call, no showing. Mm-hmm. The thing is like, the communication, the trust, the respect needs to go both ways.
Yes.
And like I said, I think that honestly, if you give people room to advocate for themselves, you will give yourself room as an artist to also advocate for yourself, and have like work on stronger work boundaries. Again, like at any point in time, I could have given someone an earlier Saturday and like crushed myself at the expense of myself and the client beforehand, but I'm not going to do that anymore. And I really do think that like the respect and the love that you pour in your clients, is going to sound so hippy dippy, they will absolutely pour right back into you. So
absolutely.
I think that's all I have to say. Do you have anything else?
The last thing I would say about creating a safe space is also not just thinking about like what you would want in a tattoo studio. So like absolutely make your tattoo studio the way you want it to be, but it is to make sure that like you are continuing your education on tattooing and being honest with your clients about it, being honest about your skill set, being honest about like the cleaning procedures, being honest. So when you hear misinformation coming from your clients, that you are gaining enough knowledge that you can then like correct misinformation. And making sure that like when you are talking about tattoos, because you are an authority, it is making sure that you have correct information as well. And being honest when you have provided like, oh, in the past I thought it was this, but actually it's this. Because I think that building that trust also comes with providing the correct information. So if it comes down to the fact that you don't like numbing cream because you just don't like what it does to the skin, explain that to your clients. Do not scare them into the fact that you're like, oh, it'll have a terrible heel, blah, 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 blah. No, absolutely not. Just because you've seen one bad heel does not mean that all of them are going to have a bad heel. And you are, as an artist, allowed to have your own preferences.
Oh, again, advocate for yourself.
But stop lying to people. Stop telling them that a tattoo won't work, or that numbing cream will fuck up their tattoo, or that they have to do X, Y, and Z in order to like have a good tattoo. Because the amount of people that come in that are like, oh no, I was told that like this tattoo would not work. And it is such a simple tattoo that it would 100% work. Mm-hmm. And it just comes down to that particular artist did not want to do it, which is another way that artists will coerce people into getting a design that they want to do. If you cannot back up the reason why it won't work, and if your entire reason is, I can't do it, just be honest. Yeah. Or if it's just that I don't want to do it, it's being honest. And I think that's the biggest thing, is being honest with yourself. Like, I don't want to tattoo black and gray. Just don't. It's not that I can't. Now, I'm also not the best black and gray artist. So, like, I will be completely honest about that. Stippling, I fucking suck at it. Not good. Not good. There are so many other tattoo artists that are so much better, and I will refer people to them in a heartbeat if they ask me, like, I would like to get stippling. And
you're not going to convince this person it's impossible.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell them like, oh no, that won't work. I'll just be like, oh, hey, I'm actually not the correct artist for you. Or like in black and gray sense, yes, I can tattoo black and gray, but I literally just referred somebody this morning to her because it's a design that she will enjoy a lot more than me. Could I do it? Yes. Will I enjoy doing it? Not particularly. Mm-hmm. And so it's being honest first and foremost with yourself of like, do I believe that like that tattoo won't work purely because I can't do it, or because technically speaking, I cannot do it? And I think that that is the most important thing, is to be honest with yourself and then be honest with your clients. Because I genuinely think that a lot of us are lying to ourselves about what can actually be done. Yeah. Because we do not have the skill set, and we'll just tell clients.
For sure. Or like, I mean, even if like technically you can do it, but emotionally you just don't have the wherewithal, it's not worth it. Because I'm like that with cover-ups. I will only do a cover-up if I feel like 100% confident that I can cover it up. Mm-hmm. And it's very rare that I get cover-ups like that. Yeah. They're like an inch big and they're faded to all shit. It looks like they've gotten 50 laser removal sessions done. Then I'm like, I can do that. But if it's anything outside of that, I'm like, you can go to this one. I'm okay.
And that's how I feel about like fine line stuff at this point. I'm like, no, because it just stresses me out the entire time. So it is not worth my emotional like, distress and turmoil.
Like technically I can.
Yeah. Can I technically do fine
at the expense of my feelings though? I don't think I should.
And every once in a while I will see a design that is fine line that I'm like, dope, I'll take that. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, unless it's color and it's like pretty solid saturation, she is falling out the back of the chair.
Oh, come here, baby.
Sorry, you guys. We have a fucking assistant.
Our guest.
Yeah, our guest. Very quiet guest. Podcast. Yeah, and I think that like that's like clients really do respond, and I understand for anyone who has made it this far. First off, thanks. That has that kind of old school thought of like you can't tell people you can't do things. As somebody who tells clients all the time, I'm not the best artist for you for that, or that's something that I don't necessarily enjoy. Mm-hmm. I don't get met with any sort of like, you're a fucking horrible person for saying no to me. Oh I get met with like, wow, I really appreciate your honesty. And like, yes, I do want to keep with your example, this realistic rose. Mm-hmm. And I respect the fact that you are like, that's not a design that you necessarily want to do at this point in time. Mm-hmm. But I will come back to you in the future for X, Y, and Z. Or I will send my friends. Yeah.
They'll remember that experience that they had. I feel like when I tell people, hey, I'm so sorry, but like this is not something I'm focused on right now at this point in time. I get met with so much relief. That's the word I would use. Mm-hmm. Like their shoulders are like, oh my gosh, that's like cool that you're able. Thank you. Because I prefer it. And I almost like 9 times out of 10, my client will always be like, I actually prefer that people tell me this stuff. Like I really enjoy that. So thank you. Thank you for that. And they'll remember that. And I've had clients where we didn't necessarily work on that piece, but they came back to me to get something else. Mm-hmm.
Or they referred other clients,
or they like referred other friends to be like, hey, so-and-so sent me.
Yep.
Because, they did this consult with you and, you guys talked about this rose and blah, blah, blah. And I'll always be like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. Like how fun.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
And one last thing I'm going to harp on. Okay. And then we'll wrap it up because I know it's a bit of a long episode. Okay, this is going to be a fucking hot topic. I haven't told her I was going to talk about this. I just remember that I wanted to discuss it. Why are you charging people for consultations? I understand that your time is worth something.
Totally.
But if you do not have the trust that your clients, like you are basically starting that relationship saying, I don't trust that you're going to show up. Mm-hmm. So it's something that's worth considering is like, whatever policies I put in place, what impression is this giving? Because for me, if I have to pay you just to talk to you, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not doing that. Mm-hmm. Like, fuck off. Like, so what, I have to pay you to like, just to see if you would even consider taking on my piece?
For a vibe check?
Yeah, for a vibe check. Like, no, that's what consultations are for, is so that way we can give adequate information, make sure that we also like them, because there's also the implication that like, if you take money for a deposit, like before you like agreed to take on their piece, that you're for sure going to take on their piece. And I think that it's just sitting in that place of, would you want someone to do this to you? And asking yourself that during the like, while you're setting up your studio, would I want this? Like our studio, we've said before, very comfy. It's very neurodivergent, like friendly. It's very bright. Mm-hmm. It's no blue lights because those are evil for me.
Yep.
But it's creating a safe space for us. And for me, I always wanted to put on the front end of like, yeah, please text me if you're not able to make it. But otherwise, like if you just have to reschedule or cancel, that's fine. But I'm not going to charge you for a consultation. I'm also not going to take your like card, because what if something happens and then I charge you for that, for not showing up, but you were in the hospital with your kid? Or like in my case, I have fucking a really forgetful brain. So I would just forget and be like, oh shit, I totally forgot. And that is a valid reason as well.
Totally. I'm uncomfortable with charging for consultations. That's for sure. I'd much rather like, I also just feel like there's an unseen pressure where it's like, well, I mean, I've already paid, so I might as well like pay for the tattoo. I might as well do that. And I just, again, at the end of the day, the kind of artist that I want to be, I want people to feel more connected with their bodies. And I understand that like, if I change my direction in any way of like, well, I understand that I can't make a lot of money and also only tattoo pop surrealism when there isn't a market for it. And the whole coercion is out of the table, or not even on the table for me. I'm not going to do that to people. So if I do like decide one day, you know what? No, sorry guys, I'm closing my books for customs. I'm focusing on just this. Here's all the flash I'm creating, and hoping that someone will let me do that on them, and hoping that like someone will come in with a custom and they're like, hey, I didn't realize this tattoo style existed. I want to do this. Let's fucking go. But I'm very aware that like there are some sacrifices that has to be made if you want to focus on a specific style. And that's okay. Again, if you want to focus on a specific style and you're less about like, I just like can't accommodate all the things, that's fine. That's so fine. But like, make sure that that's on the front end. That's how you become safe to people. So
yes.
Holy cow. That was a long episode. Thanks for sticking around, you guys.
Okay. So on that note, what's your win for the week?
Oh, my win for the week is definitely upholding my work boundaries and not scheduling and jam packing a Saturday just because I felt like I wanted to get people in quickly and efficiently. But I know that like if I book my days out like that crazy, I'm going to get burnt out. And again, you guys deserve good artwork. So I'm just really proud of that.
That's awesome. That's a really good win.
Thank you. What is your win?
Fuck. I was fully in your win and did not think at all about mine. I'm going to say my win is like sitting in the fact that we are doing an episode on a safe space. So sitting in that place of knowing that this is so vulnerable, that we are a safe space. Not because I say it, but because our clients are free to tell us like how they feel if they disagree with something, or if they like are requesting something, that our clients can actually speak to us freely. Lets me, and they quite frequently tell us that we're a safe space. But that like sitting in that gratitude and pride of myself that I've done enough work that I'm no longer an artist that's going to like pressure someone into anything.
Absolutely.
Because I definitely grew up in the industry where like, yeah, you were just trying to make money and you're like, fuck it, do it.
For sure. I'm very well aware that like this episode may ruffle some feathers. So I would say that's also a win for me, because I know that like, well, to be honest, I don't think there's a lot of traditional artists that like really follow this podcast regardless, but like, I don't know. It's vulnerable. But this is the way that I want to do my career. This is the way we want to do it. So here it is.
Perfect. Awesome. Then thank you guys for everyone that made it this far. We love you. And as always, if you are interested in being on the podcast or you have any topics you would like us to discuss, don't hesitate to reach out. And our social media links are below.
Yeah, it's going to be below.
Down there.
_homewreckers on Instagram or Callie Lou's Tattoos.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Well, we'll see you later.
Bye.